Week 0 is back in college football. We have our first games of the year this Saturday, with the big names being Notre Dame, USC. We got questions still for some of these teams. Who's Alabama's quarterback? Who's Ohio State's quarterback? James Harden's calling out Daryl Morey. And we got our picks for Week 0. Let's roll into it.
We're not the starters. We're not even the backups. This is the Third Stringers Podcast.
All right, and we are back for another week. It's finally here, college football. But first, I got to introduce ourselves. My name is Noah. We got Justin, and we got Paige here. The big three are back.
Yes.
Let's go.
This is why we're the third stringers. You know,
Exactly.
big three. You think of.
We've only been second stringers a couple times.
Yeah.
But college football is finally back. It's good to be back. I think I said the same thing last week, but we weren't back yet. So
True. Fall is in the air.
True. Yeah.
fall is in the air. We got pumpkin spice at Starbucks. I had my first go at it today. It was
Did it
fantastic.
come out? I didn't know that.
Yeah, it came out
It did.
today.
Oh wow.
No, you gotta get the pumpkin cream cold brew.
Oh,
So
you're right.
good.
You're right. That's actually technically what I got. I just
Oh, okay.
It's called right there.
That's fair.
I'm not a coffee
It's
fan,
so
so
good.
I will not be getting that. But I'm supportive.
Devastating.
Thank you.
Go get the pumpkin muffin from Dunkin'.
Maybe not.
You're not a pumpkin fan at all?
No, not really.
No pie? No pumpkin pie?
Nah, I could leave
love
it.
pumpkin pie.
You're an apple guy. You're an apple guy, aren't you?
I'm not really a pie guy.
Ooh, not
Justin, do you have any fun?
I like ice cream. I like cookies.
There you go. He doesn't
Pie,
like the
not so
fall.
much. Yeah. It's all right.
So yeah, the Thanksgiving desserts aren't your thing.
No.
That's fine.
All right,
We'll see past it.
You know
for now.
what's good about Thanksgiving for you? Football.
Football. Let's get into it.
Yeah.
All right, so we got a couple of quarterback battles we need to talk about. Nobody's been announced the starters yet for Alabama or Ohio State. Let's start with the one that's closer to home, Ohio State. The quarterback battle between Devin Brown and Kyle McCord. Kyle McCord being the more experienced one. He's been with the program for another year over Devin Brown. But Devin Brown, coming out of the spring game, felt like the better choice for them. Just felt like a more talented quarterback overall. What do we expect going into week 1?
I don't know. I feel like it'll be kind of a toss-up. You know, Kyle, like, he's obviously more experienced. I saw, like, in the 12 games he's played, he has, like, a 70% completion percentage, which is, like, crazy. I mean, obviously it's not, like, a ton of volume, right? But I think, he'll probably start the first game at least, get a veteran out there for the first game, see how it goes, maybe the other guy gets in and whatnot, Brown gets in. But I think Day said in an interview that he's probably going to start Kyle the first game. But you never really know, right? Like what will happen like upcoming to the first game. But they were roughly rated the same in high school. I mean, they were both top 300 quarterbacks. Kyle was 31st overall, and then Brown was actually 81st overall. So ratings aren't everything, right? But like they kind of give you a telling of like how they match up with like the same group of guys and whatnot, and especially from a Power 5 standpoint too. But I think I'm gonna go with Kyle here.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with that. I know in one of the preseason games, Devin Brown didn't play because of a finger injury, and McCord played. I mean, not amazing, but decent enough to where it's like, oh, he could play. So, due to that, just analysis just from that game alone, I feel like you have to start McCord, right? It's the logical thing to do. Give him his chance. If he, messes up first half, whatever, the game's not going well, maybe throw in Brown, see if he can salvage it and move on into week 2 with Brown. But give McCord the shot to start. That'd be my take.
I think going into week 1 against Indiana, I think they're both going to play, which I think speaks more to Brown than anything. because Ryan Day likes his system quarterbacks that can make the wide receivers shine. This has always been wide receiver university, not quarterback university at Ohio State.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to speak more volumes to the wide receivers. And I think he just needs someone in there that is going to not turn the ball over and is going to be able to get the ball to the wide receivers.
That's
make
fair.
Them make plays.
I
think
like
they're both going to play.
I feel like CJ Stroud has been the start of maybe top-tier quarterbacks going to Ohio State. And I know recently he confirmed that he roomed with Devin Brown last season. He knows McCord. Obviously, McCord was his backup. He says they're both ready for it. And I don't know. I would go with McCord. I wouldn't chop McCord's feet off from under him in the first game. Give him the time to do what he needs to do, get the reps, get the momentum going. I guess Day could try a two quarterback system, but that never turns out well for teams, right? You always have dueling quarterback scenarios that no matter what anyone says, the Eagles play a part of that. They're fighting for their spot. It never goes well. They feel like they're getting chipped out of it. Just let someone come in and ride the momentum. If they're doing well, they're doing well, and that's going to boost them to play even better. Right? Joe Burrow, after Game 3 of dominating, he's not going to be stopped in the season he was at LSU. Right? Just bring in a quarterback, let him do his thing, and sit with it. I think Devin Brown is a great quarterback, but I feel like McCord, it's his time, and Devin Brown could come next year.
Yeah. Isn't this weird? Like how all of like the big time programs are like so like don't even know what to do with their quarterback situation. Like you have Alabama, Ohio State,
the most
Florida,
consistent
like
ones.
yeah. Michigan State, yikes, LSU.
Are they a top tier program? I don't know.
I feel like it's kind of like a rebuilding year for like every like contending team this year, which is like I haven't seen that like in a while, so it should be like exciting. But obviously Georgia still is the king, so
Bulldogs on top. But
yeah.
We got some coming for the crown. It'll be interesting, though, especially for Ohio State, because I think the longer that this waits out, I think the more Devin Brown gains momentum here. Because I think if they were just going to go with Kyle McCord, they would have announced it already.
That's fair. Yeah, I can see that.
I think Devin Brown's going to gain momentum. I think if it goes into the game, Kyle McCord's got to show out from snap one. I think he will be the initial starter, even if they do split time in that first game.
Yeah.
So he's got to prove it.
Yeah, that's fair.
All right, let's move on to the other program we were talking about, Alabama. It's actually a 3 quarterback battle here between Ty Simpson, probably the top prospect for Alabama quarterbacks out of the 3 of them. He's the youngest one out of them, though. Tyler Buckner, the transfer from Notre Dame, and the guy who's been with the program the longest, Jalen Milroe, who is probably one of the better running quarterbacks in college right now, but had some troubles throwing the ball with accuracy and with confidence. Coming into this year, Jalen Milroe was definitely the top choice, but it seems like he's faded off a little bit.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. My pick would be Jalen Monroe just because he's been with the team the longest. He knows the system, knows the coaching. He was the backup last year. He knows what it's like to be in a game situation, helping out the starter. He can do that. He is a great dual threat, like you said, one of the best in college football. So I think that just gives him the boost over the other 2. I think Tyler Buckner from Notre Dame is like the biggest threat, I guess, because transfer students, you never know what you're gonna get. And he is younger by a year. He redshirted, I believe, 1 year. I think it was last year. So having him come in, you never know what it's going to be like, right? Ty Simpson, also returning to Alabama, the youngest of the 3. I think he just needs to learn and take his time. If one of them gets injured, he's there. He's there to support. He's there to be a backup if he needs to. But in my mind, he's out of the running.
Ty Simpson.
Yeah. Even though he does have maybe the highest upside and probably the best true quarterback of the 3.
Yeah.
I don't know. Give it to someone. I feel like in college, experience really plays a huge factor in the overall quality of the quarterback you have.
I agree too. Like I think Milroe will probably start. I think like he has that elite athleticism, and like I think he was third on the team in rushing last year too, which speaks volumes for a quarterback. Buckner also, he was recruited by the offensive coordinator Tommy Rees and also played under him. And then Dylan Lonergan, he's a 4-star recruit out of the 22 class, and he's actually playing baseball too at Alabama.
Oh, wow.
He has a scholarship there too. So I mean, big arm talent, and like you mentioned, Milroe kind of had trouble, passing the football and stuff. And like Lonergan wasn't even in like the 3-man race. Like he's just been like kind of coming up in fall camp and stuff. So maybe they do want a guy that, obviously is super athletic, right? I mean, he's playing 2 Division I sports at Alabama and can obviously throw. So maybe, that guy might come in for a couple reps under the radar too, which I think will be interesting. Probably not, but it'll be funny. It'd be cool.
If you don't pick one of the 3 that we had mentioned, it's crazy.
No, I'm picking Milroe,
crazy.
but like, I mean, I don't know. I mean, he's like, if I was, Nick Saban, I'd be like, hey, this like freshman, sophomore, like, he's gonna take one of your guys' spots if you guys don't, do what I think you're gonna do.
Yeah.
So,
true. The one thing I will say is, if they believed in Milroe or Simpson, they
he'd
wouldn't
already
have brought
be
in
it.
Buckner.
Yeah.
They wouldn't have brought in Buckner from Notre.
Yeah.
They wouldn't
That's
have
true.
accepted him as a transfer. So
Yeah.
I think that speaks volumes. Tommy Rees obviously believes in him. So let's see what happens there.
Yeah.
In a recent interview, I forgot to mention this, Saban said I told the quarterbacks, I said, quit looking around for me to make a decision about who's going to play. How about you play good enough that I don't have a choice? So he's probably
He's not
frustrated.
wrong. He's not wrong.
Yeah, he's probably super frustrated.
I would be
So
frustrated
maybe
too.
Milroe's not stepping up.
Yeah, you have top tier talent, and someone's not doing what they need to do, right? I'd be upset too if I was quarterback. I'd be like, someone just play your butt off and just make this decision for us, so we don't have to sit here and wonder who it's going to be. Oh, that'd be so infuriating if I was the coach.
And all the reporters asking you like every single day, like, jeez.
It's like, I'm going to bring a fan off the streets. Like, he'll want it more
Open
than
traps
these
at
guys
quarterback.
right now. Honestly.
Give the kicker a shot.
Might as well.
You never know. Yeah.
They have less time, though, to figure this out than Ohio State does, especially with Texas coming to town week 2.
Yep.
They already have their quarterback situation figured out. And I think Alabama would gladly take either one of the quarterbacks that potentially had an opportunity to start between Quinn Ewers and Arch Manning. I think they would take either one of them at this moment right now.
Yeah.
Okay, this is going to be off the beaten track a little bit, or off the topic. Could we see in the future college trades?
No.
NCAA wouldn't allow it.
I'm just throwing that out there. Everyone thought 10 years ago there wouldn't be paid athletes.
Justin, you want to know the craziest thing, okay? Now, you talk about off the beaten path.
Yeah.
So we talked about one big conference, okay?
Yes.
We mentioned that with all 3 of us. We mentioned that just you and me.
Yep.
And I started leaning your way.
Yep.
I did see a report. It's not a credible one. It's not a credible one, but they started talking about it, right? So you're not the only one who thinks this.
Here's my vision, right? 20 years from now, one big league, and you can trade players. That's it.
So it's basically professional football.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's basically the NFL, but it's
you
not.
think about it right now, it pretty much is. They're just younger. The skill level isn't as high.
Should you just eliminate scholarships then and just pay them a salary?
I mean, you basically are already.
Well, yeah.
The top tier talent is
like
getting.
the NCAA, I don't know. Yeah, they're for sure getting a salary like in everything with NIL, but I don't know. I feel like the NCAA is going to get like overthrown.
Something big is going to happen in the next 10, 15 years.
Yeah.
I don't see a scenario where this isn't a consideration on colleges leaving the NCAA as a whole.
Yeah, Reggie Bush is suing them, actually. He just announced he's suing them for defamation.
I like it.
Yeah. All it takes is one.
Oh, my gosh.
You imagine the uproar just with college football in general.
Well, there's so many so many players have gotten chipped in the past because they either had to quit their YouTube channel or whatever it may be, or they get awards taken away because of money that was given to them. It's like now these players are getting offered millions of dollars just for showing up. They don't even have to play well. Reggie Bush won, and he's getting his stuff taken away. Like that's crazy. So I'd feel that way too if I was a former player who lost a YouTube channel making thousands of dollars a month just because I'm a backup kicker on a team. Like that's crazy. That's insane.
Let's move on to the other uproar that's been the talk of the summer so far with the NCAA is the Jim Harbaugh suspension. It's been pending for like 2 months now. The NCAA denied it of a 4-game suspension at the beginning of the year that was offered by both sides, but the NCAA felt like they had more to go off of and wanted a bigger suspension. Instead of waiting on it, Michigan decided to pose their own 3-game suspension upon Harbaugh at the beginning of this year. What's our thoughts here?
Good. I mean, okay, personally, I don't like Harbaugh, but like, I mean, okay, it was during COVID dead period, right? And you bought the kid a cheeseburger. Who cares, right? Who cares? But like, as a head coach, you know you're not supposed to do that. It's the fact that like he thinks the rules don't apply to him. Not that like I agree with like it. Like him being like suspended for 3 games and stuff, right? And like I saw like his assistant coaches are gonna like take over his head coaching duties. But okay, the 3 games he's missing are East Carolina, Bowling Green, and UNLV. What does that do? They're gonna blow out those games. Absolutely nothing. So to answer your guys' question, like it doesn't affect like how they're gonna get to like the national championship game at all. If they lose one, that's their own issue.
That is exactly my take. 100%. They're playing 3 easy teams. He can still coach practices throughout the week. He just can't be there on game day. So if they
what does that do?
if they lose one of those 3 games, they have much bigger issues.
Yes, exactly.
So this is interesting because this is more about the University of Michigan hoping that they don't press more into this. They're hoping that the NCAA will see this as, like an olive branch saying, we'll meet you halfway here and we'll suspend him for 3 games this year.
Mm-hmm.
This speaks more about their fear for next year's out-of-conference games with Fresno State, Texas, and I believe Arkansas State, I think.
UCLA, USC coming to town.
They're coming. All 3 of those out-of-conference games are harder than the 3 they have this year.
For sure.
So they are worried about next year's out-of-conference and want it to just be done and over with this year so they don't have to deal with this next year for a possible Harbaugh exit if the NCAA continues to push.
Yeah. And this kind of brings into a question in my mind. Obviously, a coach can have an effect on a game, but how much effect, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, about to find out.
I guess, but like, if Harbaugh knows he's going to be suspended, right? If the writing's on, let's say, end of the season, writing on the wall, he's going to be suspended for a few, maybe 3-4 games beginning of next season. Prep your assistant coaches, prep the team. Like you can have obviously things change during a game, but get everyone ready, and then you're like, what is the key differentiator like going to be? What could Harbaugh do that's so important in one game that he wouldn't have been able to do the past week of prep or the past few months of prep with his coaches, knowing that he's going to be suspended, right? I just, it seems like a weird scenario where they delayed it. Everyone knows it's still a thing. It might still be a thing. Just get it done with. Like they should have suspended him for the 3 or 4 games like they offered and then been done with it. So Michigan now taking it upon themselves, which is probably the right move, right? Probably the best thing for them to do to show like, okay, yep, he did something wrong. We're going to punish him. Everything's fine now. Now the NCAA has to hope or see that and be like, okay, sure, that's enough. But are they going to do that? Probably not, because I think they have a vendetta against Michigan.
Oh my gosh!
Spoken
like a true Michigan fan. Always the victim.
Not a victim.
I think more of the vendetta is against NIL in general,
Maybe.
and they're just trying.
I love
they're
NIL.
trying to hold on to it.
Yeah,
They're trying
I
to
think
hold
that's
on to
part of it,
any
too.
power they have.
Yeah, there's been moments in other teams that have been questionable or things like this, and it seemed like nothing happened. And now it's like a very minor infraction, and it's like, oh, we're gonna dangle suspension over you for years. Like what are we getting out of this? Nothing. Just either go with it and be done, or get rid of it.
It's always funny to me how like the NCAA finds out, but like with like any professional organization like the NBA, NFL, they have like spies everywhere that are just like at these campuses like looking for college athletes or anything to like report back to. Like it's like I know like obviously the athletes think like, oh, the NCAA needs me. They do not need you. Like they will like
They will move on without you. I promise.
Yes, yeah. They won't move mountains for you. They'll rip the ground from underneath you off.
It's true.
Like it's just they're just So I don't know. I'm with Reggie Bush and like NCAA needs to go, but I like NIL because I think like you said, it just gives all the kids like more opportunities for them, especially when they're not playing too, so they can actually like get something from like playing a college sport.
Yeah, it's just a lot of change. You go.
I just think they just took it too far. So like, if you're just trying to make your own money on your own time behind the scenes YouTube channel, it's not that big.
Yeah.
Just leave it. Just leave it be. And that's what happened. Is it just drastically the pendulum swung too far, and so it has an equal and opposite reaction going the other way. So now it's just too far the other way.
Yeah.
Like these crazy numbers for NIL.
Yeah. And that's like the boosters doing that too, because the university and like now they're trying to control the boosters. I was like, y'all should have done that like to begin with. Like the boosters can only donate, 6 figures like the whole year, not like 3 million at a time or like, it's just crazy. It's gone. Yeah.
They were.
But if I'm a kid, I'm like, sweet, $1 million.
Yeah. They were willing to let it slide with boosters and other things because it was helping them. Now that the kids are getting paid and they're getting nothing from it, that's when the hammer comes down. Yep.
Yeah.
It's tough.
All right. Let's move on to James Harden and Daryl Morey. So I think this is the official break for their relationship, right? You think?
I mean, I don't know.
Who knows?
They could mend it. No, I'm kidding. I think, that ship has sailed for sure.
So James Harden calls out Daryl Morey for being a liar, and he refuses to ever play for him again because of what he's learned. This is an interesting take. Because what could he possibly have learned from now? He was with him in Houston for the longest time. What could he have possibly learned about his character now than he did the years prior?
Yeah, I don't know what James Harden's doing. So from what he's claiming is he talked to Morey, who's the owner, correct? He's the owner of the team?
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
The
GM.
GM. Yes.
You're right. GM. My bad. He's claiming that Morey said, if you re-sign, we'll trade you. All right? He re-signed, and then apparently a day passed, and he's like, well, why didn't you trade me? It's like, give him some time. Like, you're already calling him out. There's still, like, the season's not here yet. You have time. What are you doing, man? I think that's where he shot himself in the foot. I don't know what he's thinking. Give him time to find you a trade. Now, if I'm Morey, I'm saying, no, screw you. You're gonna sit the bench, and I'll take the loss of value from you, just to stick it to him.
So
like,
here's
go
ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, like, it's so weird to me how like these superstars, like Kyrie, James Harden, like they've just faltered like their legacy by being kind of like so picky and like kind of like a pick me, honestly. Like I hate like using it, but seriously, because like James Harden left Oklahoma City, he went to Houston. Didn't like it there, went to the Nets, broke apart, him, Kevin Durant, and Kyrie, which could have been something amazing. Probably could have won like 2 or 3 championships there. Oh, I don't like it anymore. Ben Simmons, that whole thing happened. Oh, I want to go to 76ers. Okay. And then, KD goes, Kyrie goes. It's just like wherever Harden or Kyrie goes, it's just like a whole like earthquake to me. And like I think it's because James Harden, it's only his way or the highway, and if he doesn't get something now, it's the other person's fault. Like for him to do that in like China at like his own event, it's wild to me.
That
That's
was so
wild.
weird.
And it's because, he's such like a huge figure over there, like Steph Curry is, right? And he knows there's cameras watching him, there's a ton of people. Seriously, and I think he just likes the attention of like, oh, if I get enough attention on this and media on this, oh, I'm gonna get traded right away, right away. That's how I look at it. So I think he'll probably get traded before the season starts, or maybe Morey will be like, okay, Nick Nurse, you need to sit him.
Yep.
But I don't think that would happen. But like I think he'll probably go to like the Clippers, or like I don't know, maybe he'll just like not play the season. I don't know. He's just obviously not happy. But
It's just really, it's a weird scenario because they had time to discuss this,
Yeah.
where Daryl Morey could have said the same thing earlier. And James Harden, instead of signing immediately, could have waited for Daryl Morey to get a trade done. Instead, James Harden's taking his word, and I understand if they had a good relationship prior to this, but I still don't know if I would have put the trust in a GM who's not going to be your GM anymore and is looking out for his own team. I wouldn't trust him to make the best trade for you.
Yeah.
Especially if the other organization knows that that's where James Harden wants to go. So, like the Clippers, for example, don't want to give up Terrence Mann, and that's what the 76ers wanted. And it's that wasn't going to go well. So why not, if you were James Harden, why not just not accept it and go to the Clippers and say, hey, offer me this much money?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't... For whatever reason, the superstars of today, right? Kevin Durant, Kyrie, James Harden, whoever. Even LeBron to an extent, right? Requesting a trade, trying to force his way onto a team. But then they get upset that once they request that trade or want to go to a different team, that the team you're currently on doesn't want to help you out as much as you think they should. Like, you can't ask for help from the person you're screwing over and expect it to be fine and dandy. Like, what are these guys thinking? And I get it. It's kind of since you could say since LeBron joined the Heat back in the day and he kind of chose where he wanted to go and all that stuff. It's been a players' league, right? They pick where they want to go. They set the value. And in my opinion, the tables are starting to turn where the league's going to find a way or make a way to say, you can't do this anymore. You can't request to join a team, be there for a season, and then immediately say, this place sucks, I hate it, and then trying to request to trade out. That just isn't how it works. You're screwing over so many people because of it. So I'm assuming the NBA is going to have an answer to this in the next couple of years. I don't know what they're going to do. I in my opinion, and obviously I don't know the contracts, they're signing a contract to play for a team. If they're not going to play, then they're breaking their contract. Don't pay them.
That's
It's
kind
just
of how
so,
it is right now anyway.
But
I mean,
if James Harden
if they don't play though, like if they're not there, if they're not showing up, that doesn't count as a contract year.
You're right.
Now
they don't get the money.
Now in James Harden's case, how he did it in Houston was that he showed up. It's just he wasn't James Harden. He was bigger James Harden.
Bigger James Harden. I guess that's true, but if you, I don't know, if you bench him, right, and then he doesn't play, or he says he's no longer playing, then you're just eating that money, I guess, which sucks if you're the team. But that's the only way it's going to work if you're trying to change the control away from the players back to the teams. That's how it's going to have to be to start. Or you're going to have to put in a rule or change the contract somehow, which is going to be a huge battle, I guess, against the Players Association. But they're in a weird spot. I don't like the superstars requesting a trade. I think only like generational talents should have that power. Like LeBron saying, I want to go back to Cleveland or I want to go to LA. That's fine. He's arguably the GOAT. If Kobe wanted to do that, that would have been fine. MJ, whoever the next person is. If Steph said, hey, I want to be traded, if I'm the Warriors, I'm saying, okay, let me help you out. But
The Warriors would say no. You're
well, of
staying
course they're
in
gonna
the
say,
same
of course they're
city.
gonna say no. But if he's saying I'm leaving or I'm retiring, like help him out. He's given his best years. He's gotten you so many championships. He's built that franchise. He's a generational talent. He can request a trade. James Harden, who's done nothing other than an MVP and a couple scoring titles, requesting 4 trades. Like, come on.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like that's such a weird position because, if you say no to the players, you're not gonna have any players left, maybe, that want to play in the league. Because the same thing with PGA and Live, they merged, and these players have been talking about, I think Paul George talked about it on his podcast. Okay, what if Saudi Arabia or a different league offered, him $500 million for, a 62 game season? He's 100% I would do it. He's what, 33, 34 now. You're taking away, 20% of the games.
Don't give them
But
ideas.
he was talking about it. But it could happen. I mean, no one's ever challenged the NBA because, we get to play in the best of the world. But, if other countries get, the LeBrons, the Steph Currys, the James Hardens, it's a problem. And it could happen because no one thought it could happen with PGA, which I feel is the most distinguished brand.
Out of any sport,
yes.
You're right.
Yeah, that's true. Oh, here we go.
Right? And then you had Phil Mickelson go to Live, and you're oh, this is actually happening. And then everyone followed, and then they eventually had to merge because they were going to start, picking away other golfers. I hope that doesn't happen because I don't think it will, but you never know because all of the, generational superstars, they're getting older, so it's a younger crowd. Maybe they want to start something new. There's so many possibilities, which it'll be interesting. I think 5 to 10 years, something will for sure change. I just don't know what.
I'm excited, honestly. See what
I
happens.
live NBA.
So side note, question for you guys. Calvin Johnson obviously made it clear that he wanted to retire or go somewhere else. He didn't want to play for the Lions anymore. In this day and age, if Calvin Johnson was playing, would that have been a trade? Or do you think he just wanted to retire?
I think he wanted to retire.
Really?
I think so. For NFL skill players, it's tough. You got to know when your time to go is, right? You're either in it for the long haul like Larry Fitzgerald, where you're just trying to be a legend, right? Or you're in it for the health and the money. Right? At some point, you don't want to get your ACL torn and concussed when you're 35, whatever the age may be. So I think he got out when he needed to get out, where he's still, he had amazing seasons, amazing career, but he can still walk and function. So that was my take on the Calvin Johnson thing.
Isn't it crazy how I think NFL if you play more than 6 or 7 years in the NFL, that's an awesome career.
Yeah, that's a long career.
Then you think Tom Brady, it's 15 years. Holy oh my God. Such a long time.
Yeah.
And NBA, it's oh, if you don't play 10 years, you're trash.
It's true. That is so weird. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let's roll into week 0 college picks. All right, we have
Nice.
5 picks here for you. We're going to keep track of these every week. I'll announce what our records are so far for the season. So week 0, we got Notre Dame, Navy, UMass, New Mexico State, Ohio, San Diego State, Hawaii at Vanderbilt, and San Jose State at USC. We're going to start off with Navy at number 13, Notre Dame. The Notre Dame Fighting Irish have a 20.5 point favorite. Are we thinking over or under here? And just for all of our viewers, we're going based off of the numbers that I have here, not the updated ones that you might see on Saturday morning.
I'm going to say over.
Notre Dame over? Notre Dame covers?
Yeah.
I think Notre Dame covers, and the game's in Ireland, so they have the luck of the Irish on their side.
Oh, wow. I didn't even know that. Yep, it's over.
They're going...
Double it.
Seriously, that's awesome.
41. They're
I
41.
love that game's about to be so hype. Oh, that'd be so fun to go
so much
to.
fun. I don't know what time is that. Now that you say that, is that at a normal college football time?
I'm looking. Let's see. It's at 2:30 p.m.
Okay,
Eastern.
so
On
it's
Saturday.
probably like what, 7:30 there, 6:30.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a night game.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, that's not bad.
Okay. I'm also going over. Sam Hartman's going to ball out. All right, let's move on to UMass and New Mexico State. New Mexico State is favored by 7.5. Are we thinking New Mexico State covers, or are we thinking upset here?
Covers. You told
I
me
think
before
they
we
cover.
started.
New Mexico.
Yep, you told me before we started. UMass has the worst quarterback in college football, so I'm going to trust you, Kratz.
I also agree. New Mexico State might blow them out. I don't know if it's going to be that bad, though.
Wait, I'm curious. Why is he the worst quarterback in college football?
He's just...
Why did you watch a Massachusetts game?
Oh, no. I was looking at the quarterback tiers, right? And, the lowest tier, we got UMass. It's just...
That's rough.
It's going to be rough. To be honest, I don't even know his name. But
that makes sense.
You got to step it up.
Watch him come out and win the Heisman now.
Yeah.
Oh, can you imagine?
All right, we got Ohio University at San Diego State University. San Diego State favored 2.5. What are we thinking?
I'm doing San Diego State because, they're on a run. Made a national title game, so I think they cover.
Basketball and football. I see it.
Yeah.
All right.
Upset.
Ohio.
That's crazy. I have an upset, too.
Let's go. It's only 2.5 points, but I think it'll be a good game.
Too.
It'll be close.
I have them winning outright. I have Ohio winning outright here, and I know it's not like a huge upset if they win because it's a close score differential here. Remember the name Curtis Rourke? He's going to be one of the best quarterbacks that's not in the Power 5.
Okay.
So like everyone else is going to be one of the top ones.
Like everyone else.
It's heartbreaking though because Toledo also has a great quarterback. It's just he's not going to get the hype because Curtis Rourke.
All right. Fair enough.
All right, let's move on to Hawaii at Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt a 17-point favorite.
I'm going to start it off upset. Hawaii is fired up from the fires.
Woo!
They're coming in
for
their
Hawaii
hometown.
too.
I don't know the name of the hometown. I can't pronounce it, but they're going to play. They're going to be playing for a bigger purpose, and they're going to have a. I don't know if they're going to win, but they'll upset.
They do have a record-setting quarterback. Hawaii's record-setting quarterback is the coach at Hawaii now. Didn't they get a new coach? Isn't it him?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, because, I saw the stats. Hawaii didn't have the best year. They were literally the worst team, and they had the worst defense.
It's true.
The entire college football. Just, really bad on their side.
Yeah.
A lot of turnovers, but, maybe this guy, his name's Tommy Chang, maybe he'll instill, that Hawaii culture, and, they'll win. So I'll go with them.
I think the Rainbow Warriors. I think they do. They do get under 17, right? I don't think they're going to win, but I think it's going to be a close game until maybe about middle of the fourth quarter. I think they're just going to run out of gas.
That's fair.
That's fair.
With Vanderbilt being a Power 5, it's hard to compete, which is why the line is so skewed. But I think they come out, like you guys said, with something to play for, and they give it a good run, but they're not going to win.
All right, that's fair.
All right.
You know what's Vanderbilt's okay? They're only good in baseball. They're literally only good in baseball,
You're
and
right.
I'm just shocked how they're still in the SEC.
See, I thought that about Rutgers too. I thought that about Rutgers too.
Yeah.
But they're going to be good in basketball. So
Vanderbilt's not going to be good in basketball.
No, Rutgers.
Oh yeah. They will.
switched.
Yeah.
I did switch.
No,
In my head, I switched.
I got you. But yes, they are. They sound like a really good recruiting class. But yeah, Vanderbilt's just an odd team. They're just average every year.
Blah, blah, blah. Shots fired.
Well, seriously, if I was a fan of them or grew up around them, I'd be like, what's there to get excited for? To watch an average team every year. It gets kind of going through the motions and stuff. At least with Michigan State, we're actually really good or just awful.
I was about
So,
to
you
throw
know, we
out
go through
Michigan
all the
State in
emotions.
football.
Yeah.
This year, yikes. You never know. And then we're going to lose David Stone on Saturday. 5-star defensive lineman. He's going to choose Oklahoma.
All right, and finally, San Jose State at USC. USC's favored by a 31-point differential here. I'll go first here. I don't know if San Jose scores. I think USC's going to win by 3.
Yeah, no. Yeah. It should be a blowout.
I agree. Yeah. I don't know if they score either. And
Field goal?
if USC,
Do they get a field
UFC
goal?
wants no field goal. The only way they're going to score is if like a special team fluke happens.
Do you imagine?
That'd be
Runs
crazy.
back first.
I say they
kickoff.
get a field goal. I say they get a field
Okay.
goal.
Okay. 53-3.
Yeah, exactly.
Yikes. Yeah, USC's coming out with a statement for sure.
Caleb
Alright.
Williams.
He's gonna be great again, but he's not going to Heisman.
Oh. Another episode.
Not gonna win.
Oh,
But
jeez.
I will keep record of all these, and we will announce what we had last week. I'm also betting this, so we'll see how that goes.
Oh god.
Oh. Yes.
Alrighty.
All right, let's roll into final thoughts. Who wants to go first?
I guess I'll go. So my final thoughts. So for our listeners, Swamp Kings came out on Netflix. It is a documentary about the Florida Gators football team from the early 2000s, like 2005, 2010, when they won 2 national titles. So it was a part of the series Untold. So usually when you watch one of those series, you're expecting, new information or like scandals and stuff from the documentary series you're watching, right? Like stuff that isn't like known in like the national eye. I felt like they really missed the ball on it. I mean, they only mentioned Aaron Hernandez once. Like, they barely mentioned Cam Newton, like, at all. So Cam Newton got kicked out of Florida because I think he stole something from the school, and then security tried to, like, get it back from him, and he just, like, threw out the window and, like, ran away. Like, just, like, really weird story, but, like, he did steal something. So that's why he initially went to Auburn. And, like, obviously it worked out well for him. But, like, no mention of that. Aaron Hernandez, like, beat someone up, like, so bad in the bar that the cops had to come. Got thrown on the bus. No files of that ever. And then, obviously, we all know what happened, after that with him. Yep. And then they also tried to, like, paint Urban Meyer as, like, the good guy that, like, saved Florida. Like, obviously he got them 2 national titles, but, like, all the players are, like, really messed up from, like, how he treated them. They would have, like, midnight workouts for 3 hours, like, midnight to 3 a.m., and, like, Fridays, and, like, basically, like, he just did a lot of stuff that, like, people didn't like. But it was good. Like, I give it, like, a 7 out of 10. But, like, have you guys watched it at all? It's, like, 4 episodes. It's on Netflix. It's pretty good.
I haven't seen it yet, but
Okay.
I did hear that it was very underwhelming because everyone was waiting for those episodes that released some of those scandals. But that really pulls me in another direction, right? Like, what about these other documentaries that we like from the Untold series? Like, are they keeping information from us also?
Yeah,
Well,
for sure. But also, like, all the viewers want all the scandals, like, and stuff. But then, like, also Netflix has to, like, work with, like, who's going to be able to go on record, like, who's going to be able to talk.
Sure.
Like, they got Tim Tebow and Urban Meyer, which basically made the whole documentary. I mean, Tim Tebow was, like, the key to everything. Like, he was on it. He's such an interesting person. I do not know how I feel about him. I mean, how Urban Meyer recruited him is, like, wild. And, like, I don't know. They had, like, a weird relationship. I don't know how I feel. I don't know. You guys have to watch it. I mean, like, they are just, like, best friends still, and, like, everything. And, like, they show, like, Percy what's his last name? Harvin,
yeah.
Harvin, yeah. Him and, like, all Brandon James, like, all the scandals they did, like, all the stuff with the cops, like, DUI, drug charges, like, Florida just swept it underneath the rug. So, I don't know, it's interesting, but...
Yeah. I haven't seen it.
know.
I've also heard it's pretty underwhelming. And
Yeah.
just kind of, like, what are we doing
It's
here?
just, like, games. It's just, like, them doing the games and documentary of like, oh, we should have won that, like, normal like stuff like that.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
All right. Want me to go next?
Sure.
All right. Not as big of a conversation, but it could be. 49ers are officially saying goodbye to Trey Lance. They're looking for trades for him. Brock Purdy will be the starter next season, and Sam Darnold has been announced as the backup. So
what a waste! What a waste of a trade.
I agree.
Gave up 2 first-round picks to go up, move up, and draft him, and for him to start 2 games for them.
Yeah. And
why are they trading him?
They have what they need in Purdy and Darnold.
Wow. What a story for Purdy. The last pick in the draft now. He's the starting quarterback. That's crazy.
I think they're jumping the gun on this. I really think they're jumping the gun. Right? We don't know how he's going to come back from injury. Sam Darnold, from what I've heard, he's been doing great, in training and all that stuff. Why would you? I guess you want all the value you can out of Trey Lance. You have 2 decent quarterbacks, but
I feel like you should wait a year. Yeah, wait how this season goes.
Yeah, or even give it a few games just to see what happens. Brock
Purdy had what, four good games?
Yeah, he could go in. He could get injured, re-injured first game, and then you just traded away Trey Lance. So obviously he's not traded away yet. They could still hold on to him for a little bit.
Yeah.
But just the fact that they're already saying like, yeah, give us offers.
It's weird.
It is weird.
And Purdy has that elbow. He just had elbow surgery.
Exactly.
Never know. I feel like that might backfire for them because they're like cursed with injuries anyway.
Yep.
So I saw the trade between them and the Dolphins for that 3rd round pick, or for that 3rd overall pick. The Dolphins got Jalen Waddle. They could have in theory gotten from that same pick, but they got him like with the 6th overall pick. They traded the other one for Tyreek Hill, and traded the one that following year for Bradley Chubb.
Wow. Talk about a return.
Yeah, they did a great job with that.
Wow.
One of the biggest swings of a trade.
That's amazing.
Jeez.
All right.
Wow.
The Chicago White Sox have announced that they will be open to relocation.
Wow.
Oh, I didn't hear that.
They have their stadium rights until 2029.
Okay.
They have their stadium rights until 2029. So they will be open to relocation after that. They haven't announced that they're going to leave Chicago, but they are looking at options. They have mentioned Nashville, and I believe they did mention Montreal.
Wow.
I called it. They're right there. You just got to move up a little bit.
Oh, my God.
That makes sense, though, because, like, who's really a White Sox fan over the Cubs?
I am.
You're a White Sox fan.
You are?
No.
Over the Cubs? The Cubs?
They're just cool. I don't know. When I think of Chicago baseball, I think Cubs. I don't think of the White Sox.
I understand that because of Wrigley, but the White Sox are just a cooler team. They're just a cooler team. South Side represent. All my South Side Chicago people out there know. I've been to both stadiums, yeah.
Okay, so have I. Okay.
Yeah.
Definitely like Wrigley better.
Well, Wrigley's definitely cooler. You can't argue that. I would never argue that Wrigley is not as cool or isn't as cool as that. But
That's fair.
I like the White Sox. I've always liked the White Sox. I have a White Sox hat. Come on.
Oh, well, I didn't know that. I think everyone just has a hat that they just like.
No, I like the team, so I got it. That's fair.
I have an Oklahoma City Thunder hat that I was
that's
not
sick.
like an Oklahoma City fan.
Yeah. Hey, but it looks good now.
It does look good now.
Oh, goodness.
All right. That is it for this episode. We'll come back. We'll see how we did in our week 0 picks. We'll have some week 1 picks. And we got to start talking about the NFL, too.
The NFL Fantasy League is still open. So if you want to join, $100 prize, first place. And if you're hearing this, we still have open spots. I believe only 17 spots after us 3. So 20 was the max. So come in. Hopefully you win $100 at the end of the season. Why not?
Yeah.
All right, guys.
Then you can
See you next week.
set it away.
All right. Peace.